Disclaimer. This video is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, investment, or security advice. Always do your own research and consult a professional before making any financial decisions. Crypto investments carry risks, including loss of capital. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the latest crypto updates.
All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive.
Glad to be back.
And we've been seeing a lot of crazy stuff happening in the crypto world these days.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we wanted to just dive into some of the big news stories that are out there, and kind of what's going on.
Yeah, some interesting trends for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And we're seeing Bitcoin kind of being questioned a little bit. If it's stable.
Shit, hold on.
Yeah, and scams are on the rise.
Oh yeah, using AI now.
Yeah. And then there's this crazy story about Trump getting into the crypto game,
Which is wild.
Yeah. So there's a lot to cover, and hopefully we can kind of unpack some of this stuff.
I think we can. Yeah.
So starting with Bitcoin, I think that's kind of the big elephant in the room right now.
The OG.
Yeah. Exactly. It's been kind of hovering around this high $90,000 mark, but there's this thing called the Fear and Greed Index that's pointing towards fear right now, which is not a good sign.
No, it does not sound right.
It doesn't sound good at all. And then there's this MVRV Z-score, which is
a little bit technical.
Yeah, it's a little over my head. I don't know if you can maybe break that down for us.
Yeah. So when people are talking about Bitcoin being overvalued, some people say that, well, it's digital gold and gold is worth whatever people think it is.
Yeah.
But, you can't just look at the price and say that it's overvalued or not. So this MVRV Z-score, it's basically a calculation that looks at the relationship between Bitcoin's market cap and its realized cap.
Okay.
So the market cap, that's just the current price of Bitcoin multiplied by the total number of Bitcoins in circulation.
Right.
But the realized cap, that's a little different.
Okay.
It kind of takes into account the price that each Bitcoin last moved. Okay. So it's kind of like an average of what everyone paid for their Bitcoin in the past.
I see.
And so by comparing these two, you can get an idea of whether or not the market is pricing Bitcoin too high.
Okay. So like a historical average.
Yeah, exactly. And, when the MVRV score is high, it means that, a lot of people are holding Bitcoin at a profit.
Okay.
And that, could be a sign that the market is getting a little bit too exuberant, and that a correction could be coming.
So like a bubble?
Yeah, potentially.
Okay.
And right now that score is actually pretty low.
Oh, wow.
Which, some people are interpreting as a sign that Bitcoin is actually undervalued.
Interesting.
So, it's really hard to say for sure what's going to happen next.
Yeah, but it's definitely something that we need to be paying attention to.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to something that's a little less technical, but probably a lot more scary.
Ooh.
These AI-powered scams, they're like on the rise.
They're getting really bad.
Yeah. And we're seeing like a 40% increase, which is like...
That's a huge jump.
It's crazy. It's a huge jump.
It's a lot.
And this one scam that I've been hearing about is called pig butchering, which...
That's a terrible name.
It's a horrible name, I know.
Horrible.
But it basically, these scammers, they like befriend you online, and then like they try to gain your trust
over a long period too.
Yeah, and they'll even like pretend to be romantically interested in you.
Yeah, it's a real mind game they're playing.
And then they'll convince you to invest in some like fake cryptocurrency,
which doesn't exist.
Yeah, and then poof, they're gone.
And your money with them.
Yeah. It's terrifying.
It really is. And the thing is, AI is making these scams even more sophisticated.
Right.
Because now they can use AI to create fake profiles. They can manipulate audio and video. Like you might be talking to someone on a video call and think it's a real person, but it's actually just an AI-generated image.
It's so creepy.
It's really unsettling.
Yeah, and they can even like write these personalized messages that make it seem like you're talking to a real person who's like really interested in you.
Yeah, it's very convincing.
Yeah, so it's like, it's really important to be careful out there.
Absolutely.
And do your research and don't, trust anyone blindly.
And if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's move on to something a little less doom and gloom.
Okay, good.
There's some interesting stuff happening in the AI world.
Yeah, a lot of innovation.
Yeah, and there's this this Chinese startup called DeepSeek.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Yeah, and they're kind of making waves because they're offering this cutting-edge AI technology.
Yeah, and it's a lot cheaper than what the big tech companies are offering.
Yeah, which is crazy because, I mean, usually, you get what you pay for.
Right. But in this case, it seems like they're really disrupting the market.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because it could potentially democratize access to AI.
Yeah, exactly. Like before, if you were a small business or an organization, you probably couldn't afford to use the really advanced AI tools.
Right.
But now with DeepSeek, even a small team can have access to this really powerful technology.
So that's really cool because it could lead to all sorts of new innovations in different industries.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we're just starting to scratch the surface of what's possible with AI.
Yeah, it's exciting and a little scary at the same time.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about some altcoins.
Okay.
So we've got, Shiba Inu, which is actually down 30%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, it's a big drop.
It's a lot.
And then Solana's meme markets are kind of stalling.
Mm.
But then we've got Shiba, which is like surging ahead.
Shiba. Huh, I haven't been following that one as closely.
Yeah, they're kind of bucking the trend.
Interesting. What do you think is driving that?
Well, it seems like they've been really focused on building a strong community.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they've been delivering on their roadmap.
So they're actually making progress.
Yeah, and I think that's really resonating with investors.
Makes sense. Yeah, if you can show that you're actually building something and not just hyping it up, people will take notice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, even though the overall market is kind of down,
yeah,
some coins are still managing to do really well.
Well, that's the thing about crypto. It's so volatile.
Yeah.
There's always opportunities to make money, even in a bear market.
Yeah, but it's also really risky.
Oh, absolutely. You got to be careful.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of risky, let's talk about gold-backed tokens.
Okay.
So these are tokens that are supposedly backed by physical gold.
Right. So in theory, they should be less volatile than other cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that they've been underperforming lately.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even though Wall Street is telling people to buy the dip in physical gold.
That's interesting.
So why is there this disconnect?
Well, I think it's because, even though these tokens are supposed to be backed by gold,
yeah,
they're still traded on cryptocurrency exchanges.
Right. And the cryptocurrency market is just a different beast.
Yeah.
It's much more volatile. It's much more speculative. And so even though the price of gold might be going up, the price of these gold-backed tokens might not necessarily follow.
Okay, so it's not like a one-to-one thing.
No, not at all.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that these tokens are still relatively new.
Right.
And so there's not a lot of liquidity in the market.
Okay.
So, if you're thinking about investing in gold-backed tokens, just be aware that they might not be as stable as you think.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Okay, so let's talk about something a little more fun.
Let's lighten it up a bit.
Yeah, meme coins.
Meme coins, yeah.
So the meme coin frenzy is still going strong.
It's wild.
Yeah, and there's this new app called Pump Fun.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yeah, and they're basically making it even easier to create and trade these crazy meme coins.
Oh, wow.
And they're seeing record-breaking token launches. So what's the appeal with meme coins? Why are people so drawn to them?
Well, I think it's a combination of things.
Okay.
There's definitely a community aspect to it.
Like a sense of belonging.
Yeah, exactly. People feel like they're part of something.
Right.
And then there's the whole, get rich quick thing.
The speculation.
Yeah, exactly. People see these coins pumping and they think, oh, I got to get in on that.
I can make a quick buck.
Yeah, and then there's just the fun factor.
The memes.
Yeah, the memes. It's people are just having a good time with it.
Yeah. And it's also a way to kind of poke fun at the traditional financial system.
Right.
It's this whole decentralized anti-establishment thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's it's a very complex phenomenon.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, but it's definitely something that's not going away anytime soon.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so speaking of meme coins.
Okay.
SafeMoon is making a pretty big move.
Oh, yeah. What are they up to?
So they're launching a new meme coin. But here's the thing. They're launching it on the Solana blockchain.
Interesting. So they're switching blockchains.
Yeah. And they also burned a significant portion of their SFM supply.
Wow. That's a bold move.
Yeah, it's a really risky move.
Yeah, because they're essentially abandoning their old token.
Right.
And starting fresh with a new one.
Yeah. And it's they're trying to revitalize their ecosystem.
Right.
And attract new investors.
But it's a gamble.
Yeah.
It really is.
Because, people who held the old token they're probably not going to be too happy.
Yeah. And it's like, are people going to trust them again?
Right. It's a big question mark.
Yeah, I'll have to see it happens.
Yeah, it will be interesting to watch.
Okay, so another coin that's been making headlines lately is Polkadot.
Oh, yeah, Polkadot.
Yeah, and some analysts are predicting that it could see a big price surge.
Really? Like, how big are we talking?
Well, they're comparing it to XRP's recent performance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it could be pretty significant.
So what's driving this optimism? Well, they've been doing a lot of network upgrades.
Okay.
And they've been seeing increased adoption.
So they're building momentum.
Yeah, and I think people are starting to realize that Polkadot has a lot of potential.
Yeah, they've got a strong team and a solid vision.
Yeah, and it's always hard to predict what's going to happen in the crypto market.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But Polkadot is definitely one to watch.
Absolutely.
Okay, so last but not least, let's talk about Mantra.
Mantra, okay.
Yeah, so they've actually hit an all-time high.
Oh, wow, good for them.
Yeah, and it's because they got listed on a bunch of major centralized exchanges.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, because that means that more people can buy and sell the token.
Right. It increases liquidity.
Yeah, exactly. And they've also been doing a lot of other things, right?
Okay, like what?
Well, they've been building partnerships
Okay.
and expanding their ecosystem.
So they're not just sitting back and letting the exchange listings do all the work.
Exactly. Yeah, they're actively trying to grow the project.
Which is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to keep building.
Yeah, and it's paying off because their price is going up.
Yeah, it's good to see them succeeding.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
And, it's clear that the crypto world is constantly changing.
Yeah, it's never boring.
Never boring. But before we wrap up, I wanted to get your take on this whole Trump thing.
Oh, yeah. That was a wild one.
Yeah. So he's backing this initiative called World Liberty Financial.
Right.
And they're basically trying to stabilize Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Okay.
Through this thing called the token reserve.
Interesting. So they're like creating their own stablecoin.
Yeah, kind of.
But it's backed by Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it's like a hybrid approach.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, it's hard to say what the impact will be.
Yeah, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely.
Okay, so just to kind of wrap things up.
Okay.
What's like the one key takeaway that you want listeners to remember from this deep dive?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that the crypto world is full of opportunities.
Okay.
But it's also full of risks.
Right.
And so it's really important to do your research
Wow.
and understand what you're investing in.
Don't just blindly follow the hype.
Exactly. Yeah. And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Okay.
There's a lot of information out there and it can be overwhelming.
Right.
But there are also a lot of great resources available.
Yeah.
So just take your time and learn as much as you can.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
It was my pleasure.
And to all of our listeners out there,
Stay curious
stay informed.
and keep on diving.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
If this video helped, please like, subscribe, and drop a comment. See you in the next one.